And congratulations to Dr. Reddy and the entire Ministry of Commerce for this landmark agreements. I think these things do make a difference. I think they will act as catalysts for growth. Now, coming specific to IT industry in India, I want to give you some very quick summary of what it is, where it is standing today. It's this fiscal, it is crossing $200 billion for the first time as an industry. Probably will be around 220 or something. Okay. Out of that, nearly 170 billion is exports, 170 billion, and remaining is domestic consumption. And it contributes close to 9 or 10%, I don't have the figures on top of my fingers, of the overall GDP of India. And the IT services alone contributes to nearly 50% of all our services exports. So it's a significant industry. It's an industry that has grown very well over the years. It has now attracted Bangalore, Hyderabad, all these cities have become talent hubs to the world. So everyone is looking to India, not just for services or for even now for innovation, so that more startups and unicorns are coming out of this industry. But switching to these two agreements, like UAE and Australia, if we want to look at things in perspective, I'll tell you, out of this total exports, United States grabs about 58%, and Europe is 27% of India's exports. Now, Asia is 7%, and I'm coming to UAE, which is, I think if my geography is right, it is West Asia, which is just 0.8%. And Australia and New Zealand put together is about 3%. So if the question is there a huge headroom for us to grow in these geographies? Answer is absolutely yes. And will these agreements, I don't know every minute detail of the agreement, I tried to grab when Mr. Reddy was presenting. Will these agreements help in that growth and in filling that headroom? Absolutely yes. But I want to tell you what really matters for an industry to grow in a new geography, like IT industry, and how it has grown over the years in other geographies. Initially, most of you probably know, US used to be close to 75 or even 80%. Then it came down, and then other countries went up. This happened for two reasons. One, the industry, when it started maturing, wanted to reduce the risk of dependence on one geography and increase in other geography. Second, the newer countries have started offering better facilities and better opportunities, just like now Australia and UAE are promising to do. So this is very important. Okay. So when an industry, IT services industry, wants to expand in Australia, for example, what we need is a conducive business environment, the ability to quickly set up offices, start business, the ability to transfer senior leaders quickly to their geography. And I believe the intra-corporate transfer becoming easier comes under that category. And for their spouses to travel and the children to travel and get a good English education, and the opportunity for spouses, because most of them are likely to be educated, for them to work in those countries. And I saw all these bullets being ticked in the current agreement. That's a very good sign to me. If these happen, the companies will be encouraged to send the senior leaders to set up shop, or if there is a shop already, to expand the operations. Next is getting talent locally. Now, we have seen Indian industry after a decade or so, in all geographies where it is operating, has managed to hire locally and contributed to the local community. And I'm sure it will do so in UAE and Australia as well. But very encouraging sign I saw in the current agreements is for the students to stay beyond their education and work for whatever 3 years or 4 years, depending on what degree they have. Now, it is very natural, while we hire a lot of local talent, it's also natural that we hire our own Indian talent who have studied from those universities, I think. So this particular educational aspect also is going to help the industry, So I see a lot of encouraging factors for the IT industry. Now, what the industry needs to do to take advantage of this is exactly like we have done with Europe earlier, take the derisk approach, take advantage of these new features. Do not hesitate to go to Australia. Australia, for example, has several industry verticals like banking, finance, mining, and I think construction. There are a lot of sectors. UAE has, all these sectors, oil, petroleum, we know. But beyond that, there is construction, there is, services, finance. I think in all these areas, Indian industry has the domain expertise, apart from the technology expertise that is required, built over a period of time with Europe and US. It is time to leverage that experience, go to these geographies and scale up operations. And then if the agreements really translate to reality on the ground, and if there is a free movement of talent and senior leadership across the geographies, and that helps the industry to grow certainly over the years. That is my belief, and I do believe, based on what I have seen in the agreements, that there is every intent by way of easing the business services, by way of easing the people movement, and way of including avoidance of double taxation. That will be a big incentive for IT industry. If offshore services are not going to be taxed in Australia, that will become a huge incentive. You just pay one tax and that straight adds to your bottom line. So I'm confident, optimistic that all these measures will contribute to the growth of the IT services industry in these two geographies. So my best wishes.